ebre kope bill ayama no ai enipa da sani ayo what's your promote your abemwa mo ya ka bibia mo so muntie yo well and she said any people with power ka we nyina ma anka ma ka ma o position ye kasa about to decisions bi hu osunsan so a ebi ni cheja era kenofurata eso gusu o detention ti e betwe ne ahwedi be free mu e de aba yes farmers head to court over cocoa price cut ti aban kuafo so mu kosi waban so what tem cocoa bo so agiri say in the right direction mu fa aban nko court so wadada wo mu aban eye dadafo aban trofo and o say achinipa miensa say omoso akọ bailey about 156 bales of wheat Oma bon boa be 156 nti yesi akwa akochirom kotukani other headlines.
This is the problem. This is not a matter that we have to play politics with.
Okay.
Because this is an issue that has to do with the lives and livelihood of our dear cocoa farmers. You see, why are we here today? The simple point is that when this government was in opposition, they actually promised that they were going to pay their cocoa farmers between 6,000 cedis to 7,200 Ghana cedis per bag. And in actual fact, when this government came into office, I have a publication here from one of your online platforms, where Atuforsen on 10th January 2025, after being appointed finance minister designate, said that he was going to raise the price of cocoa per bag from 3,100 cedis to 6,000 Ghana cedis in his capacity as finance minister. This is the promise they sold to the
but what's the source of the publication?
This is Ghana Web.
Ghana Web,
This is Ghana Web, right. So this is the promise they made to the farmers. The farmers bought into this promise. Queued on 7th December 2024, over 1 million farmers to go and vote for the NDC. Fast forward, the NDC now is telling us that they are even unable to pay the 3,100 Ghana cedis that President Akufo-Addo was paying the farmers. And now they are going to pay the farmers 2,587 Ghana cedis. So clearly, you could see that this government lied to the cocoa farmers. This government played on the intelligence of the cocoa farmers. And I believe that when our colleagues from the government side have the opportunity to address this issue, the first thing they have to do is to apologize to the cocoa farmer. This is not the time for propaganda and, some form of justifications to the issues. People are losing their livelihoods. Do you know the number of cocoa farmers that are dying as a result of this decision of government? The number of cocoa farmers that are unable to purchase their BP medications, their diabetes medications. This government is putting a lot of pressure on our dear cocoa farmers. And I think that when the people from the government side have the opportunity to always speak, the first thing they have to do, I'll repeat again, is to apologize to the cocoa farmer. Because this is not what you promised the cocoa farmers. You promised the cocoa farmers that you were going to pay them 6,000 Ghana cedis. You never promised to reduce the price of cocoa, per bag. You never promised that, and now you are doing otherwise. But my brother tries to play politics with the issue and tries to blame the MPP for the atrocities and for the inefficiencies and for the current mismanagement of the cocoa sector. MPP left you $500 million cash in the Ghana International Bank account held in London. And this money is for Cocoa Board. Now, prior to the 2025 budget, in fact, Cocoa Board received in revenue about $1.8 billion between January to 2025 budget. And this was reported by the finance minister in his budget. And so cumulatively, Cocoa Board between January, in fact, cumulatively in 2025, Cocoa Board made in revenue about $3.9 billion. That is $3.9 billion. That is about 39 billion Ghana cedis. Now the question is, Michael, where is the money? The government of the day claims Cocoa Board doesn't have money to pay farmers. However, the government or Cocoa Board under this government has been able to raise monies to purchase 100 pickups for cocoa staffers. 100 pickups. If at least one Halos pickup cost, let's say, $150,000, that is a lot of money. This government has been able to raise monies to buy pickups for cocoa farmers. This government has been able to raise monies to buy 4 twin-turbo Land Cruiser V8 for the Cocoa Board CEO. But they tell us that they do not have money to pay the cocoa farmers.
Is it wrong to do?
Yes,
Is it wrong to do if it leads to efficiency and productivity?
No, it is wrong to do. At a time where you cannot pay cocoa farmers. This is the NDC manifesto. I would not lie. At page 41 of their manifesto, under cocoa paragraph 3, this is what President Mahama said. President Mahama said, investment in cocoa production over wasteful administrative expenditure to improve the livelihood of cocoa farmers. This is what they promised, that they were going to stop the wasteful expenditure of the cocoa farmers' money. At a time where you cannot pay cocoa farmers the 6,000 you promised, you have money to buy 100 pickups for cocoa staffers. Are the cocoa staffers important than the cocoa farmers? Michael, that cannot be the case. This government must prioritize the affairs of the cocoa farmer and stop the unnecessary blames on President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia and the MPP. It is not the responsibility of Kwesi Botwe to pay the cocoa farmer. It is not the responsibility of Dr. Bawumia to pay the cocoa farmer the 6,000 Ghana cedis you promised. It is the duty of your government. It is the duty of President Mahama to pay the cocoa farmers. You see, my father always tells me something, that one of the biggest problems of a man is his mouth. If you don't want to get problems in your life, protect your mouth. You people promised to pay them 6,000 Ghana cedis. Nobody forced you to promise them to promise the cocoa farmers that you were going to pay them 6,000 Ghana cedis. Nobody held you at gunpoint to make that promise. You voluntarily promised the cocoa farmers that you were going to pay them 6,000 Ghana cedis. In fact, the publication I have here from Ghana Web, when Honorable Atufosi made the promise, one of the economists actually cautioned Atufosi that Dr. Mary Opon, an economist, actually cautioned Dr. Atufosi that this promise was not feasible because the cocoa market is a volatile market. The cocoa market is controlled by the international market. It's not controlled by Ghana. Atufosi in his response said the government knows what they were going to do to cushion the cocoa farmers, even in the unlikely event that the world market, crashes. But clearly, today we are at a point where we are being told that cocoa farmers have left the Western North region, drive for about 9 to 13 hours to Greater Accra to come and demonstrate at the cocoa house in Accra. And when they came in, there wasn't even any executive official of the cocoa board to receive them. The farmers are still at the cocoa house. They slept at the cocoa house last night. And you think this is fair? You think this is fair to the ordinary farmer? And then when you speak about it, they tell you that they have reduced their salaries by 10%. This haircut on the cocoa farmer is a 29% haircut. And so your 10% salary decrement is woefully inconsequential to the subject matter. The cocoa farmer, the ordinary cocoa farmer, is suffering a haircut of 29% after deceiving the cocoa farmer, after lying to the cocoa farmer, after fraudulently telling lies to the cocoa farmer. Now you come to tell us that, okay, we have reduced our salaries, and so the cocoa farmers do not have any legitimate case. Now, my dear brother seeks to blame their inefficiencies, their mismanagement, and their lies on the fact that MPP turned the cocoa board into a department of the road sector. You were trying to correct him. You were trying to put him in check, but he still wasn't ready to listen. But you see, the reality is that when we assumed office in 2017, your President Mahama, in his first part one of President Mahama, actually left behind a 5.16 billion Ghana cedis cocoa road debt. Because you people actually awarded 230 cocoa road contracts between 2012 to 2016, President Mahama awarded 230 different cocoa road contracts under your government. And so when you come to sit here and to make the case and to pretend as if it was President Akufo-Addo that manufactured or that invented a cocoa roads into, or that introduced the cocoa road scheme in this country, it's a lie. You people left in the MPP in 2017 a debt of 5.1 billion Ghana cedis. You people were awarding the contract as if you were sharing handkerchiefs. When they see you, they say, "Oh, Michael, you are a nice gentleman. You work for Metro TV. Come for a cocoa road contract, 18 kilometers. Then they give it to you, 10 billion Ghana cedis." They were just awarding the contract just like that. Meanwhile, they didn't have money to pay the contractors. And so, do you know what they did? They secured a facility, a syndicated loan facility. He also mentioned about syndicated loan. He then secured a syndicated loan facility in 2016 to supply 800,000 tons of cocoa. The NDC couldn't supply the 800,000 tons of cocoa. They supplied 400,000 tons of cocoa. And do you know what they did? When they lost the election in 2016, between 11th December 2016, when it was clear that they had lost the election, between 11th December 2016 to 6th January 2017, they used the balance of the syndicated loan, about $400 million, to pay their cronies that they awarded the cocoa roads to. So if they take, let's say, Kwesi Boche, they know that Kwesi Boche is an NDC financier. Kwesi Boche is an NDC regional chairman. We awarded Kwesi Boche a cocoa road contract. Between that period, they used the $400 million of the syndicated loan to pay their cronies that they awarded the contract to. And so if today Cocoa Board is in crisis, it is incumbent upon us as politicians to holistically discuss the matter and to profess solutions, and not to blame the previous government. President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia have been voted out of office, granted without admitting that they were bad. You people said they criminally managed the economy. However, when they were criminally managing the economy, they were able to pay the cocoa farmers 3,100 Ghana cedis. Now, what are you people doing? You people that you claim that you are perfectly managing the economy, in the first time in the history of this country, the price of cocoa farmers that goes directly to the pocket of the cocoa farmer has been reduced. It has never happened in this country. Let
me find out from you.
Never happened, even during the times of COVID-19. It never happened.
Do you think that the previous NPP government has contributed in any way to where we find ourselves?
You see, I am not a hypocrite, and I'll tell you the truth. Government is a continuing business. But you see, when a government comes into power, the government inherits both assets and liabilities. It is true that the government of the day inherited liabilities from the previous administration. And it is also true that the government of the day inherited assets from the previous government. But it is important that when issues like this happen, the cocoa farmers, they do not know MPP, they do not know NDC. What they know and what they want is that you pay them their monies. And so when issues like this happens, as political actors, it is important that, my dear brother, we find solutions to the problem. But you don't come and sit here from the government side and blame your current challenges.
What are the solutions to the problem?
One. I think that first and foremost, I think that first and foremost, it is important that government acknowledges the fact that they lie to the cocoa farmer. My brother,
will that solve the problem?
No, they have to acknowledge that they lie to the cocoa farmer and apologize to the cocoa farmer. That will bring some comfort to the cocoa farmers. Do you know that if government had visited the various cocoa areas to engage the cocoa farmers, that this is the situation we find ourselves in? And so we are unable to fulfill the promise we gave you. However, we are putting in measures to ensure that going forward, we are going to pay you the 6,000 Ghana cedis we promised. The cocoa farmers wouldn't have risked their lives from Sefwi also to Accra to come and demonstrate. And in all of this, where is the CEO for Cocoa Board? The CEO for Cocoa Board starts in this very room, this very studio, this very Metro TV studio, to profess solutions and to act as a jack of all trade and a master of all intelligence, and as a man who has all the intelligence in the world and all the solutions to the problems of the Ghanaian people. Today, power has changed. He's been given the steer. He's been given the steer, and now he's driving Cocoa Board into a ditch. And when you talk about it, they tell you not to talk about it. They make the claim that Cocoa Board doesn't have money. Go to the CEO's house. Every day that you get there at cantonment, you find a truck parked there, moving things out and bringing new things in. Today, if you get to the place is more beautiful and nicer than the president's home. The home of the cocoa bot CEO is more nicer than the president's home at the expense of the cocoa farmer. Just 3,600 Ghana cedis. They cannot pay the cocoa farmer. Meanwhile, the executives of Cocoa Board are receiving salaries in excess of 35,000 cedis.
I think I've given you more than the 5 minutes.
Michael, you see, this is a very
and you've made enough points.
This is a very serious matter to me, and this is a matter so dear to my heart because when I went to the secondary school, St. Martin Senior High School, I benefited from a cocoa. Yes, Adwejiri in Sawom. Okay. I benefited from a cocoa bursary scholarship scheme because my uncle is a cocoa farmer in the Itiwa West constituency. Okay. In Resi, the people that know the Eastern region very well, he's a cocoa farmer. Few days ago, I spoke to my uncle. Currently, he's bedridden. He told me that today, if cocoa farmers go for funerals, they are even unable to pay what they call in Samabodie because the cocoa farmers